Okay, Thanksgiving 2014. I'm just hoping no one comes down here. I'm at the basement here where we normally do Thanksgiving in North Georgia. And if you hear some crazy children coming in, you have been warned. It's 7:30 on the night of Thanksgiving, Georgia and Georgia Tech this week. I'm going to go over a couple of statistics as I normally do. Georgia's still at 43, leading the SEC with 43 points a game. Second in rushing at 260 yards a game. Rushing defense, which Georgia will get plenty of this coming week, is 155 a game. That really shot up after Florida ran up 400 yards on the Dogs not that long ago. But Georgia somewhere around fifth place in scoring average with 20.5. So Georgia has played pretty well here since leaving Jacksonville. Obviously, they have some things left to be done. They are number 2 in rushing, 9 in passing, fifth in total offense, number 1 in scoring offense. They are currently ninth in rushing defense, second in passing defense. They could be number 1 after playing Georgia Tech this week. And then fifth in total defense and seventh in scoring defense. They are still number 1 in the SEC in turnover margin, fifth in kickoff return, fifth in punt return, 10th in interceptions. That's not going to go higher this week. Seventh in sacks and ninth in tackles for loss. The turnover margin is such a big deal in this Tech game. Georgia is plus 16 in the turnover margin. I mean, that's drastically better than everybody. Missouri at 9. So the Tigers and Razorbacks will play before Georgia and Georgia Tech. Georgia will know what their fate is as it relates to the SEC championship. I think Arkansas is going to win the game. Las Vegas thinks they're going to win the game. Problem is, Missouri has been the dog here the last couple of weeks, and they've won on the road. So you got to wonder how many times in a row you can win straight up as a dog. The other thing is too, Missouri does not play great at home. The results at home have not been nearly as good. They're 9-2. They're 9-2. Both of their losses were at home. They didn't play great against Kentucky at home. They didn't play great against Vanderbilt at home. So I think Arkansas is the better team at this second. They are, I believe, I'll check it again, a 3-point favorite over Arkansas is a 3-point favorite over Missouri. Okay, yes, they are still a 3-point favorite. So that means, they're the better team. The consensus on Georgia is they are a 12.5 to 13-point favorite. So that has moved a little bit. I'm going to get straight into these questions because it's Thanksgiving night and I got to push this video on out. Finished the drill. Finish the drill. 101 says, who's a sleeper in this year's recruiting class? Do you think Pruitt's experience as a high school coach gives Georgia a real advantage when coaching against high school offenses? Seems like Grantham and others have more problems when they are more custom pro style opponents. Well, I don't think the high school thing helps or hurts or whatever. I mean, it's talked about all the time. Look, either you can coach it or you can't. We're going to see, with Tech, if you can tackle the fullback, you're going to be okay. If you can't or don't, then you're going to be in real trouble. As far as the sleeper in this year's class at Georgia, let me look and see who makes the most sense to be a sleeper. And Scout has changed everything up on me here. Looks a lot better. I'm so wary of taking guys from Marist because they're just. I saw Justin Young this past week against Tucker. He's got to gain weight. He'll be an outside linebacker. There's no way he's going to play defensive end at Georgia. Not at his current size. I think Sage Harden is a guy that maybe as a sleeper could develop as a tackle. He can't play guard. He's too small. Devondre Seymour definitely could start. Saw Michael Barnett, very athletic, but not super didn't do a lot during the game necessarily. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at this group here. It's hard to call someone a sleeper if they're a 4-star guy. I think that Trez Patrick and Ledbetter. I mean, Ledbetter is a great player, but he's like the third best player Georgia's got coming in. So that's probably not the best way to put it. I don't know the answer. I would go with sleeper. I think it's possible that Sage Harden could develop eventually, but I'll say that and say this: it is there. I always have a concern with private school kids, particularly coming from Marist, where they're playing in the wishbone the whole time. I don't know. Okay, UGA Dog Forever 08. If Georgia goes to the SEC Championship and loses, what's the most likely bowl they'll attend? I think if they don't get to the championship game, it'll be the Peach Bowl. I think if they lose in the championship game, it'll be the Peach Bowl. It just looks like the Peach Bowl more than anything else. Swanee Dog 03. Do you anticipate any coaches leaving after this season? They always do. I don't anticipate it, but they always do. I've got one family member now that's come down here. How good is this year's recruiting class compared to others in the Richt era? This is the best one they've gotten. I was talking with Chad Simmons and I were talking about it the other day. That is definitely the best one they've gotten. The remote's right there. When Malcolm Mitchell was a freshman, I thought there was no way he would leave here until his senior year. Fast forward, and he's been hurt and not played enough. I think, yes, I do think this is still Malcolm's last game. I think that's just what I've heard. I mean, I don't know. That's as to the why. I think he probably thinks that he can move on and go to something bigger in the NFL. I do not think your second question is where do you think he goes in the draft? I think he goes very low. I think he goes his 5th, 6th, or 7th round, or maybe even undrafted. He's small and he's got the injury issues. Will his combine numbers be as good as I would have thought as freshman before getting hurt? No, of course they're not going to be as good before he's getting hurt. But I don't know if he's going to be at the combine. Rick Dyke, Dean, in your opinion, why is Georgia recruiting the running back position better than anybody in the country? Well, why'd you change it?
Is that the LSU game?
Yeah, it's the LSU game. Because they're very good at it. I mean, Brian McClendon is an outstanding recruiter. That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing. And there's running backs in Georgia. I mean, that makes a big difference. Rick Dyke, why hasn't outside of AJ Green they've been able to do as well at wide receiver? Well, part of that is Georgia's teams in Georgia don't throw, so there's not tons of receivers. But you still got Stephen Hill was a first-round guy, I think, or top 50 guy, whatever he was. Demarius Thomas, Calvin Johnson. So there have been guys that have come through the state that have been pretty good receivers, but they haven't gone to Georgia. I mean, they've had Muhammad, AJ, Michael Bennett's been pretty good. He's not been elite, but he's been very good. Malcolm Mitchell was going to be elite till he got hurt. So, Tony Ball is a pretty good recruiter. I don't think he's an elite recruiter necessarily, so that comes into it too. But the state is not hemorrhaging with wide receiver talent the way that you can just go pick up Caleb King or Nick Chubb or whoever. And there's not necessarily a tradition of wide receivers. Now, I don't know why guys are going to Tennessee. There's no quarterback there. I think we saw that painfully this past weekend. There's not a lot of guys there. All right, Payne Hall. Other than Pruitt, the football staff from Richt on down among the lowest paid staff in the SEC. Bobo's ridiculously underpaid at $625. I think Mike makes a little more than that compared to his peers. Richt is making about half as much as Bielema. Yada yada yada. With the money saved and seriously, I'm always surprised that Georgia coaches are not out interviewing for other jobs, if for nothing else, leverage for fair money. My thoughts. Well, I think Mike Bobo is drastically underpaid for his performance. He has been outstanding over half a decade now, and I don't think Mike wants to leave Georgia, and I think you can't underestimate that. The other thing too is guys want to work for Mark Richt. They like it. You win. You have a stable life for the most part, and as much as you can in this industry, and you can develop some big guys. It's a very good thing. I mean, there are a lot of coaches who have left Georgia, have been fired or whatever, and while they were there, they would tell you privately there's really nobody better to work for than Mark. So that's a lot of it. But I do think that Georgia is gonna. I mean, Mike's situation. Jeremy Pruitt got his salary was doubled going to Georgia. Mike has never left Georgia. He's been at Jacksonville State for a year, I think, as a GA or whatever it was. And Mark brought him back home after Jim Donnan, after he was a GA at Georgia, and then went to go be an assistant, I think, at Jacksonville State in Alabama. So Mike's never really left. I think Mike wants to be the head coach at Georgia, which he's certainly putting up a heck of a resume. I don't know if he can get that job before he goes somewhere else to take another job, but there'd be nothing wrong with Mike Bobo being the next coach at Georgia, in my opinion. Now, I was stunned to see the Frank Broyles, which is the Assistant Coach of the Year award. He wasn't even on their. He wasn't even on their list. Guy hadn't even had his best player for half the season, and they're scoring record numbers. Georgia's leading the way. I mean, Mike Bobo. I'm going to say something somewhat blasphemous. Mike Bobo is a better offensive coordinator than Gus Malzahn. I think. I mean, I'm just saying that out loud here for the first time, but there's a lot Mike does that's better than a lot of people around the country. Mike is the one person who is drastically underpaid. There's no question about that. So, everyone else gets tied up with money. Look, you're at Georgia, and that doesn't mean you have to get paid, but it does mean there are big time expectations. I think a lot of the assistant coaches understand that, and a lot of the reason why the defensive staff is underpaid, if you want to call it that, is because they're all brand new and they were coming from jobs that weren't as good. Okay, HP Dog. What is the issue with Carson potentially not being able to roll in January? Mean he'll go somewhere else? That seems unlikely. I mean, Chad did an article with him not that long ago that he was very ready to go to Georgia, but we're all talking about a junior college guy, and you never totally know until they're on campus if they're going to get to campus. Yes, they need at least one, if not two, running backs ready for next season who are not already on the roster right now. This LSU Texas A&M game is a little bit rough. Georgia Dog. So where's the best spot for the new indoor practice facility? Would it make sense to move the baseball facility? No, I think the best spot is the track, and then you move the track. It's that simple. You just stick the thing right there. You make it an indoor track facility as well. It's not that complicated. Do I think Dave Ombre, do I think there will be strength and conditioning changes for Georgia on the horizon? Not that I'm aware of. Don't do that, man. Now it's gonna beat buttons the whole time. I'm not aware of any strength and conditioning changes, but Georgian, I know we're in poor economic times. I'm not sure about that anymore. But I wish the money the football team makes from TV and would go for better salaries of the coaches. And okay. Aspen, what kind of vibe do you get from the team this week? If Arkansas falls to their face and fails to beat Missouri, do you think they'll still play hard and focus, or does Georgia come and lay a super flat egg like they did the first half of the year? I do not think that will happen. There's a couple of different reasons why. Namely, at the beginning of the year, I mean, if you're talking about Florida, I don't think they laid an egg in Columbia. They lost the game by a field goal, where their basically all-American kicker missed a 20-yarder, and where they didn't give their all-American running back the ball at the 4. I mean, they didn't fall on their face there, or lay an egg. Excuse me. I think Mark has got these guys exactly where they need to go, which is they need to be concerned about Georgia Tech, and that's it. Because think about it this way. If Arkansas beats Missouri and you lose to Georgia Tech, that's terrible. If Missouri beats Arkansas and you lose to Georgia Tech, that's terrible. If Arkansas beats or loses to Missouri and you beat Georgia Tech, then you're still 10-2. And you may not be playing for the SEC championship, but you're going to be going to a BCS level bowl game. I mean, this Georgia Tech game is huge for Georgia. This isn't a bad Georgia Tech team by any stretch, and they're still a double-digit favorite, Georgia. I'll get to that in a second. I don't want this to take on too long because I know this is a holiday and people are not going to sit here and watch this the whole time. Let's see. We seem to be running shorts on. Do I see attrition coming? Well, Zach DeBell's not going to be around anymore. Xavier Ward's not going to be around anymore. I think we're going to see Malcolm Mitchell, Leonard Floyd, Todd Gurley leave to go early. So that's 5 guys that normally would be around next year that are not. So sure, you're going to see attrition. I don't know if people are just going to leave. You've seen that during the season. Which coach or coaches takes up the slack left by Rodney Gardner hosting a Thanksgiving feast if the players that can't make it home? I thought about that. I don't know the answer to that. I think that's a good question. A lot of guys just kind of buddy up. Did he fry that turkey? Did you see that? Did he fry that turkey?
Mm-hmm.
That's dang. You better do that outside. I don't know the answer to that. Do I see? And then the final question here is Rick Dyke. Do you see 2015 as a rebuilding year? I do not. I don't see Georgia in rebuilding mode anytime soon. I think they are going to be anywhere from 9 to 12 wins for the next few years. They have a nucleus that is a little young, not super young, but you got to look at it. All the offensive line basically is coming back. No David Andrews, that hurts big time. You're getting an upgrade in terms of skill at quarterback. You're down a little bit at wide receiver for some guys leaving, but the quarterback will more than make up for that. Nick Chubb obviously seems to be pretty good replacement for Todd Gurley, so you're in good shape there. So the offense shouldn't miss much of a beat. Defensively, it basically, with the exception of the inside linebackers, will be the same defense. They're going to lose like 5 to 6 starters off this team. That's not a lot of starters. And I think, at center, it's going to be a downgrade in terms of talent. At quarterback, it will be an upgrade for sure in terms of talent. At receiver is where they're going to have to figure some things out. Let me look at one or two more things here. Oh, I was talking about this line, which is really big. Tech, let's see, Georgia was a 3-point favorite last year over Tech, 14 in 2012, 4 in 2011 when they thoroughly beat Georgia Tech. They were a 13-point favorite in 2010. Now, that's the one game where they really kind of didn't perform. They were a touchdown dog in 2009 and won straight up. They were a 7-point favorite in 2008 and lost straight up. They were a 3-point favorite at Tech in 2007 and doubled them up, won by 14. In 2006, they were a 3-point favorite and pushed. 4-point favorite in Atlanta in 2005 and covered that they won by 7. They beat Tech 19-13, double-digit favorite at home. They had to hold on that game. That was a Reggie Ball game. Against Tech in 2008, they beat them 34-17, doubled them up. 8-point favorite. In 2002, they really throttled them. They were a 9-point favorite, beat them 51-7. That was bad. They were a slight dog in Mark Richt's first game against Tech and won the game going away by 14 points. So that was the Tim Wansley game, intercepting George Godsey. Obviously, the further you go back with Jim Donnan, they were a 1-point dog and lost pretty thoroughly in 2000. They had the game stolen from them in 1995. They were a 5-point dog and lost in overtime. That game was wild. They were a 3-point favorite and got upset with certainly some tricky, a bizarre fumble non-call at the end of that game. 2 years in a row with these bizarre fumbles, Georgia. They lost that game. They were a 3-point favorite. They were a 4-point favorite in 93 and had to save themselves with Mike Bobo to Corey Allen. In 96, they were a 4-point favorite and won by 9. In 95, they were a slight dog. I didn't realize they were a dog that year. Sidewinding it from Cannon Parkman, 18-17. And then they were a 16-point favorite in 1994. I think Tom Luganbill was allegedly the quarterback there for that 1-10 or whatever they were, Georgia Tech team. They beat them 48-10. So they've been big, heavy favorites in Athens in 12, 10. Actually, this is the third time in a row they've been double-digit home favorites in Athens. So it's a tough place to play, Sanford. I think Georgia wins this game. I think they're the better team. I think they are playing hot. This is not like 2008 when they had to struggle down the stretch. They got beat. They beat LSU. They played great that day. Then they lost. They got blown out by Florida by 39 points. Worst loss in Mark Richt's career. And then they had a hold on against Kentucky. They won 42-38. They had a hold on against Auburn, won 17-13, and then they lost to Tech. They lost by 3 in a game that they were in total control of. So They were up. I believe they were up 28-14 and 20-6 or something like that during that game. So they did not play well that day. The rain didn't help. That was the last time we saw Matthew Stafford in Sanford Stadium with a Georgia uniform on. But I think this Georgia team right now is too good. I think if the game were in Atlanta, maybe it makes a difference by about 4 points. I think this is going to be a weekend Georgia looks back on and is happy with. I say that now. Maybe it's all the turkey. I'm not sure. But I do. I think they're better than Tech. I think that Tech has improved, but they I think that they won last week. Cole Stout really helped them out. really helped them out 2 weeks ago winning that game. So, all right, Dean Legge Show. We'll see what happens. I know a lot of the fans for sure are going to be looking hard at that Arkansas-Missouri game, and they should get some good news. They should. That's certainly much more of a toss-up than Las Vegas sees Georgia and Georgia Tech. Okay, Dean Legge Show. Don't eat too much dressing. Don't eat too much food on Friday either.